Good day, everyone, and welcome Hisham for this second episode. And today we will talk on a topic where I started actually, where we started our relationship. You know, the first time when we met, and you actually appointed me for an assessment center. You know, you're the first company to hire me as an assessor. I have to actually.
It was our pleasure, ya Sharafullah.
So this is where our story began. You know. Yeah. So actually, in a way, assessment centers, talent management, how we work, and this is actually our core episode. Let's welcome you, Hisham. Thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you, Sharaf, very much. Welcome everyone. Hopefully, to be a fruitful and valuable talk, inshallah.
Inshallah, yeah. So, Hisham, I believe that you are one of the earliest companies in the market to introduce assessments as a solution for the clients. So, yeah. So, how do you like to bring this into perspective? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. We were one of the early beginners at the assessment business. I remember that Logic was at that time is introducing the assessment as well. So as far as I understand that, or I can remember, or I know that our Job Master and Logic was the first to introduce this assessment for the Egyptian market. And I recall how challenging it was at that time. People didn't get used to be assessed through a third party. It was a normal performance appraisal approach or interviewing approach or KPIs outcomes as a result of the performance. But the assessment center concept was a bit weird, and people was perceiving it as offensively, that we are not entitled to go into examination. We are very senior in order to be examined, and it's not the proper way to handle you and to deal with your managers, etc., etc. So it was really offending from a lot of people, and it took us a lot of time to convince people that it's not an exam. There's no right and wrong. There's no good character and bad characters. It's about strength areas and areas for development. You can customize it in different shapes or forms when you go into your business or personal life. So I think it was very challenging at that time. But nowadays, people take it more easy, I think, from this kind of resistance.
Yeah, thanks to you. And I have to acknowledge that really, whenever I meet an assessor in the market, he has to be, or they have to be actually graduated from Job Master in a way, or passed by Job Master a way or another. You know, you are a school in this. You know, I have to tell that.
Thank you very much, Sharaf. Merci.
And thanks also for something that I believe the governmental organizations also were. Yeah, I believe that there was a huge resistance there for this kind of modality or this kind of service. And I believe that you worked out many challenging projects. So I would love actually to listen from you, you know, the ups and downs, the highs and lows, you know, that to share with our clients. And maybe we can start from where do assessment centers fit for our clients when it is a real fit, you know. This is where, yeah.
Yes, exactly, Sharaf. Normally, we claim that the assessment center is a very objective tool and a very objective process and approach in order to evaluate people's performance as such, but people's capabilities and competences and skills and behaviors, etc., etc., and also measure the potentiality, what they can do in the future. However, the accuracy is a very debatable point, how accurate it is. And there's a lot of researchers, studies that claims that the assessment centers may reach up to 70% accuracy. And here, when we talk about accuracy, we mean that what we are predicting currently about people capabilities are similar to their future performance and how we see it in the future. And whenever it's similar, the accuracy and the prediction is higher. So this is a very debatable point, and there's a lot of different variables that affect the accuracy. However, no debate about the objectivity and fairness of an assessment approach or process, because it's very, very standard. It's based on evidences and observation. There is no opinion or assumptions or personal input. It's based on a very systematic process. Everyone goes for the same process, and the only different is the person, him or herself. So from objectivity point of view, fairness and standard, I'm quite sure it is. From accuracy, it's differ. From culture to culture, from assessment center to another assessment center, from company to company, from person to person.
Wow. So thank you, Hisham. And actually, this is a real, a very good interview and well said about the assessment centers. And actually, to introduce this concept in the market, when the market is really illiterate about it, and especially, going with this concept to governmental entities and governmental organizations, having this resistance, from up down and down up, and being inside political games that maybe sometimes played, when this is so. I believe that you have many stories here to tell about.
Yes.
I believe now more than 20 years working in assessment centers or something, or introducing it to the market. So I would
Yes.
some stories. This is like just leave the floor and yeah.
Yes, yeah, Sharaf, exactly. Especially in the public and the governmental entities, since the promotion is something based on the number of years, and the career path is a very vertical, traditional career paths, and the people performance does not affect much the pay, the reward, the development. It's not that much appreciated at that time. And if you can recall that even the performance results was very secret exercise. The manager does not sit with the direct reports talking about the performance or the development areas and actions. It was very hidden information, and they don't prefer to confront each other with the real development areas. This is a cultural things, and this was the norm at the government and public sector. And when we started to introduce the idea of the assessment, it was a bit of severe change from culture, from process, from even understanding point of view, and convincing even the decision makers that we can in one single day, through a specific tools and approach and process, we can evaluate the competences and the skills and the ability of a person. It was not even acceptable. They said that you should spend some time with our people in order to observe what they are doing on the real business life in order to be able to evaluate. However, this is not what assessment center is about. We are not required to observe the day-to-day performance of the person. We have a very clear scientific approach in order to put the person in a sort of simulation or similar to the real life situations, and to observe the behavior which is designed up front. So we are designing the case in order to be able to observe some behaviors that's related to some competences. Accordingly, we can inform independently the person without having the context of the business. We don't want to evaluate the person at the business context. We want to take the person out of the business context and evaluate him or her independently, away from any other surroundings. And this was not acceptable previously. And when we have a courage from a top management at the public or governmental sector, and he or she takes the accountability of introducing such a new approach, it really needs a brave people. And thankfully, we have in Egypt, we have a lot of brave people that they can take this accountability and accept the consequences of this results. However, it was really tough, and I can recall one time that the starting after the 2011, that was very challenging after the revolution. That as you remember, Sharaf, there's a lot of muzaharat and a lot of challenging the organization, especially the governmental ones. So to introduce this assessment approach after this mess, it was really need a leader in order to take this accountability. And one of the public banks that is very famous in Egypt, the chairperson, he was a really, he has the courage in order to take this decision and to start to push people and force them to accept the results. And it comes with some flexibility that, for example, our first approach at that bank was through the promotional cycle. Previously, everyone was promoted if he or she was meeting the criteria of the number of years, in spite of there is a box for promotion or not, if he or she is performing properly or not. So when we introduced the assessment center at the promotion cycle at that bank, only 40% from the nominated population was promoted and 60% was not promoted. This is a very heat situation. However, the chairperson, as I mentioned, he was a very brave, and the HR director has the courage in order to face this reality. And they started to promise the 60% of the people that's not promoted this year that you have another chance next year after going through the development actions, that we will sit with you in order to raise all the development opportunities that they may take. So they started to give them some benefits. You will take next year a specific development interventions, and we're going to reassess you again next year, and you will not lose the probability and the opportunity to be promoted the coming year, and you have another chance for the next year as well. So starting to absorb the heat. However, it's not that easy, because I really as a person, I faced a lot of pressure at that time, and I really feel very pity about the chairperson and the HR director that they're taking this heat from 60% of the population, and here we're talking about thousands, not only hundreds. It was very, very, very tough situation. But thanks God, alhamdulillah, nowadays this bank in specific, the assessment center was now it's one of the very normal practices that the people accept in the bank, and some people are really encouraged. They ask, we want to be assessed, because they can see the beauty out of it, the value out of having a development plan, and to understand your capabilities through a third party that is not biased by any business context, and just focusing on me as a person. This was a message that the bank now is promoting. We are investing in you in order to give you a space for progression and development.
Yeah. So that's really amazing, Hisham. I believe actually being a leader and seeing all of this, what you're saying, this story that you have told in about not more than 5 minutes or 4 minutes, and I believe that was, the story of this bank. I know it took something like 8 years now.
So, yes.
So we're talking about 8 or 9 years or something like this. So from the pre-contracting and through even this is where we met actually in this story. It has been, this is where actually you said, I don't know on which criteria actually you really selected excellent people for this. The best associates, the best business people. I really worked with the best consultants from the market. I got introduced to were actually from your school, from Job Masters, especially in the assessment centers, and they're now my best friends in this at this time. So in a way you had an eye on selecting assessors, despite it's not a common culture. So can you tell me, as a leader living all of this, between introducing a new concept to a very resisting client, a very challenging client, and actually selecting suitable assessors, putting the concept and putting the team, and even introducing, I know that JobMaster had its own R&D to develop the special, very tailored assessments to suit exactly the client. They were, besides being SHL partners at this time, I believe that you had also your own R&D and your own developed. So all of I believe that this needed a lot of stamina as a leader, resilience. I believe that this is something that you already you have a lot of. But tell me, I just want to know what's happening behind the scenes. Can you share with us?
Yes, for sure, Sharaf. Thank you for this comment, because I learned myself throughout the years that in order to be able to overcome the challenges in the business environment, what you need is a good people in spite of their technical knowledge or their professional capabilities from a know-how or experience point of view. The personality and the character is much more important. I don't want to destroy the idea of having an experienced people around you, but actually what is really more important, or maybe the most important ever, is the personality and the people around you in facing this kind of challenges. You're looking for a people with a very high level of values and ethics, and not only values and ethics from a personal perspective, value and ethics of being able to be transparent, being able to admit mistakes, being able to try once and twice, resilience, as you mentioned, flexibility. What we are doing is all about agility and flexibility. It's very dynamic. So you don't want a very routine, repetitive people that they are just going by book and by the job description or the agreed upon task. You want people that they have entrepreneur mindset. They're not afraid of try and error. There's no problem if we have a lot of mistakes. No problem if we did something wrong and we apologized and trying to refix it in a way or another. So this kind of values, that what we are looking for. We are not looking for an expert assessors or expert consultants, and that's it. We are looking for a personality. And by the way, each time we decided to focus on the technical perspective and we neglected the personal perspective, we face a lot of problems afterward with this person in specific. So we learn, don't be dragged to what we want currently from the person's skills and abilities. It's about personalities, about the potentiality and the attitude of the people rather than their capabilities and skills. And that's exactly why we met at that time, Sharaf. The assessment was not something common, and you took the risk to invest time and effort in something that's new, and you took the risk of a failure, and you took the risk of not, and I know you because you are a very quality-driven person. So it was for you, for example, it is a risk that you took. And this is the personality that we are looking for. We are not looking for people that they are coming in order to do a very safe assignment. This is not what we, at that time, we were targeting, because it was a new approach. And by the way, we ourselves was not that competent as well. We were learning from our mistakes by time.
Yeah, and thank you for that. Thank you for allowing the opportunity. And actually, it was really an enjoyable journey. And still, the place, going back to job masters and seeing, the assessment rooms, and everything, it inspires a lot of great meanings and emotions, and provokes a lot of emotions and nostalgia for each one of us. So
Yes.
thank you for that, really. And I would love actually to talk to you about when exactly is an assessment center a favorite choice, and when, if our clients are hearing us now, and when it is not, don't go there, don't use assessment centers, it's not the right tool.
Yes, exactly. Actually, assessment center, Sharaf, is an expensive evaluation tool. So in order to be able to use it properly, you should calculate your ROI, your return on investment. So you should make sure that the cost of the assessment is less than the cost of a subjective selection or a cost of a wrong decision. If the cost of assessment is less than the cost of the mistake, so the assessment is very fruitful. You can make sure that what you are investing is a proper investment. However, you should be very careful that the assessment is not a single input decision-making criteria. Assessment is one of the inputs. Assessment is a very objective, as we mentioned, objective, standard, fair process. However, it needs a lot of different insights in order to take a proper decision at your organization for a person. You may use the assessment when you are really reluctant. Which person should I promote in order to take a managerial or leadership role? which person should I hire for a senior and top management position. If I'm really, I have a lack of high potential and successor on the organization, and I want to make sure that I'm investing my learning and development money in the right place, assessment is a proper tool in order to know where you are investing your money to develop and to identify your high potential people. Sometimes assessment is not the proper tool if it's expensive compared to the risk. And another situation that we are now very aware of is the acceptance of the culture within the organization. If there is no trust at this organization, assessment center could be a nightmare. People perceive it in a very negative manner. People start to think that you are doing this for hidden agendas, that you are not really walk the talk. You say that I'm doing an assessment for development, but the trick is you're doing for promotion or for firing or for other hidden purposes. If the trust is not in the organization appreciated, so assessment may be a very negative activity that you do within the organization, and you get more harm and more negative out of it compared to the value that you get out of that. So I think you share with me the same idea about the trust, Sharaf. I think so, yeah.
Yes. And actually, I believe that here we mentioned again, and we kick into the trust, the corporate culture, and having the right mindset, and actually here, when somebody comes to you and you assess the organization and you find that its culture is not actually allowing or permitting having a good experience with the assessment centers, would you start introducing for them a culture transformation program, a leadership development program? What kind of conversations do you have when you find that this is the situation? So having all the tools that you have in your organization, and I believe that you already can, you can introduce whatever. You're a solution integrator and you have many partner companies. So what would be the kind of conversation that you will have to actually direct the client into working with the culture, the trust, and these issues before accommodating the assessment centers, despite it will have the right ROI, but it's not, they're not yet at the place where they can use it correctly.
Yes. Although the culture transformation is a long journey, it's not something that you can just start and end in a specific period of time. It takes a lot of activities and a lot of time to be absorbed and change if the trust issue was present at the corporate side. This is one channel that our clients or our partners can start the journey working in that. However, in parallel to this, there is some assessment tools that it's not related to assessment centers as such. People trust very much any ability test. People trust in a way or another any online psychometric or personality questionnaires. People start to be reluctant when they feel that there is a human interaction within the process. And here comes the trust part. So we can start with what we call it a mini assessment approach rather than a full-fledged assessment center. We try to use it first for development purposes only. And we show people that this is only for development. People start to trust the approach when they find that there's a value that they can get out of that. We start to send a sort of questionnaires for people, how they perceive the promotion cycle in the organization, how they see the development plans, how they can evaluate the performance management. And if the outcomes, they are not happy with this kind of practices within the organization, then the question is, what do you think? How shall we do this? How we can guarantee more fairness? How we can guarantee more objectivity in order to enhance and develop these kind of activities? Mainly, the challenges of the fairness in the organizations comes from either the performance management, because it's related to pay, maybe promotion, etc., and comes from the promotional cycle itself, and comes from the reward and the incentive or the increase that people can get. And these three the answer for being more objective, not more accurate, more objective is an assessment center. And the accuracy can be developed by time. And that's why sometime when we start with the organization, let's take a promotional decision as an example. We can put a very low weight for an assessment center in the promotional decision at the early beginning. And for example, we can start that the assessment involvement in the promotion decision is just 20%. And after we make sure that the culture is accepting the assessment, we're increasing gradually. And honestly, 20% is by statistics is the best percentage to start assessment within a promotional cycle. And then you may increase it till you reach a 50%. So this is, again, it is a tactics in order to build the trust and to build a positive vibes around the value of the assessment without cheating people, without having hidden agendas, without even force them in order to do something that they are not very convinced of why we're doing that.
So these are really important secrets of trade. So this will be put in air, and you know, all your competitors will know this afterwards, Hisham. So thank you for that. Thank you for sharing this. So that's amazing, Hisham. Actually, you know, you bring this from experience, and you're bringing it actually in a very fluent manner. And I believe it shows a lot of care on how people are actually, and empathy with the people who are receiving this assessment, these assessment centers. And now we go back again to the idea of, you know, people, and you know, and what everything that we're trying to do is making their life easier and better and more objective, better, you know, putting measurable outcomes and KPIs on things that they can't measure, and try, you know, on the subjective experience, on the what they call intangible assets, making it more tangible, more visible, more, you know. And this is something that I believe it's a mission that you told us in the last interview.
Yes,
this is a mission that you have in your life, and you're already living it and leading it. And I want to acknowledge you for that. You know.
Thank you, Sharaf. And actually, being happily productive, I see it very important. Happily, that means you are and you're enjoying what you're doing, and you're fulfilling your needs, development, return, reward, financial, etc. So happily productive is you as a person happy, and the company is happy because of the productivity. So being happily productive, it's a balance between the organization and the people. So we can't just focus on productivity as being machines, and we can't only focus on enjoyment and being happy and fluffy without outcomes. So we should balance between both, how we make sure that people are happily productive.
Yeah, I believe that this is a mission that you're living, and you already visualized and opened opportunities for many companies that already are, you know, and they were just fruit, you know, they're just some, you know, what they call it, fruits, or maybe some that came out of JobMaster and being in the market.
Thank you.
Many of them are for my friends, and they're in the market, and you're very collaborative in how you work with them. So thank you, really. And I believe that talking about assessment centers still need a lot to share. I believe this is not the only episodes that we will talk about assessment centers. There's still a lot to come, talking about succession planning, about talent management, about, you know, the scarce resources or the talent retention, and uses of assessment centers, you know, in different contexts. So maybe if you can allow us for another interview, that would be an amazing, you know, thing. That we can take some secrets of trade again, you know.
my pleasure, my pleasure, my pleasure.
But now, as we are approaching our 30 minutes, so what would you like to maybe brief or just take as, you know, as an outcome out of this episode, and tell us more about how to contract with JobMaster Group, and, you know, so what would you like to say? Yeah.
Actually, I just want to mention that to summarize, that the assessment is a very, very objective, fair, systematic, scientific approach. However, the accuracy is based on how we design it, and how we and how the organization capture the value of this assessment center, and of course the professionalism of doing that. I want to highlight that the assessment center is mixed between the capability of the person and discovering the willingness and the potentiality of the same person. So it's mixed between future potentiality and trait, and current capabilities and competencies. And again, as we mentioned, that there is sometimes return on investment that we should consider. Sometimes assessment is not the proper evaluation tool, and other times it is a very suitable and fruitful tool.
So now how can people contact Global Impact Group,
Actually, we have a JobMaster website and GICG website. JobMaster is www.jobmastergroup.com. I think we can reach JobMaster at that website, and my personal email is Sharaf. Just put it on the screen right now, so anyone can contact me anytime for any questions or other several more discussions or more elaboration.
So really, I thank you for today's episode. It was really amazing, and as usual, very entertaining, and it was full of experiences, stories, and it was really a very good experience for me. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Sharaf. It's my pleasure. Thank you, everyone, and see you later, inshallah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm just putting this is Hisham's contacts and JobMaster Group as well as GICG. Okay, thank you and goodbye. Bye bye.
Bye bye.